Hi, I'm Bukeka. I'm the B.
And I'm Enolia, and I'm the E.
Together, we are Be Empowered.
The universe is calling, calling, calling. The universe is calling me to be. It's calling me to listen more, talk less, and hold the light. The universe is calling me to be.
We believe that deep in our souls, we hold conversations, but for whatever reasons, we do not always take the opportunity to speak from our hearts.
We want you to imagine that you're sitting right here with us now, sipping a cup of tea or coffee at our dining room table, and we're having that conversation. You know, the one that encourages, inspires, and motivates you to the infinite possibilities that your life has to offer.
Let us help you to expand your imagination, to create your beautiful dream into reality. It starts right here and right now, because the universe is calling you to be.
The universe is calling me to be. The universe is calling, calling. The universe is calling me to be. It's calling me.
Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome to Be Empowered. I am Bukeka, and I am here with my dear friend Enolia.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be here.
So glad to be here with you. And boy, oh boy, do we have a topic today. We're going to talk about what happens when we diminish ourselves. What happens when we play small? What happens when we decide to shrink instead of stand tall and be the empowered person that we naturally, innately are? So it's a really big topic. I think it's a really big topic that a lot of people are dealing with today, women and men of all walks of life. I know that as women, we tend to do that, particularly in certain cultures where women are seen or treated in a particular way. We also have individuals in our workspaces, in our workplaces, where we end up feeling that way sometimes. Anolia, what do you think? What happens, or what are the ways that we decide to diminish ourselves?
Well, it's interesting because this is about self-worth in its entirety. And the less that we think about ourselves, the more we create the prison of our lives versus the living of our lives. And let me just explain that when we choose to only be able to see a short-sighted view of ourselves, in other words, we only can do this and we only can do that, and there's no way that anyone will work with me or see me any bigger than what I've defined. Our mindset has already set the limitations. And then what happens is that as we embark with that limited thinking, we never get past it. So I don't know if I'm making this clear, but let's look at it this way. If all I keep saying to myself is that, you know, whenever I get a job, I always get paid little or I don't get paid at all. Whenever I get a job, I always get paid so very little. And then we go and we're like, I got a job. And guess what? Doesn't pay very much, or the person doesn't pay you at all. And you go, well, why does this cycle keep happening to me? And there's this cycle of thought that creates the circumstances. We don't understand how powerful our thought is, that it comes to fruition. What we think we manifest. And if you establish yourself in a thought process that is limited, that sees you small, and that sees you never truly achieving what it is that you're capable of surpassing, you will not achieve anything. It's all indicative and all encompassing. My thought relates to what I manifest, relates to my vision, relates to my accomplishment, relates to my cycle of habit, relates to my patterns of thinking, relates to all those particulars that I repeat over and over and over and over again. And to me, that's the foundation of it.
I loved what you said about cycle of habit. Because when our thought patterns become habitual, what it seems like to me is that we create this mental prison. We establish our own gatekeeper. That gatekeeper is the perpetual thought that reminds you every single time you have the thought of doing something different. That gatekeeper says, nope, you're not worthy, or it's not time, or you don't have enough, or you are not enough. And amazingly enough, we are that gatekeeper. Our thoughts, that habitual, that cycle of habit in our thoughts is that gatekeeper. And then there are the bars itself, where we are looking out into something that we desire, but that mental gatekeeper and those bars literally keep us from moving, physically moving forward into that which we desire. And it's small. There's no room for anything else. You can't even invite the good in because you are in such a small space. You have no room for thinking of the good. So really, when you get in that cycle of thought, a habit of thought that basically is from that diminished self, it's very powerful. It's very dangerous because it can possibly lead to a sense of escapism. And we could go on a whole tangent about how we escape, what we do to escape.
You're absolutely right, because I'm sitting here listening to you and I'm thinking, we use that cycle of thought as a justification of staying small. Well, I can't do this. I don't have X. Well, I can't do that. I don't have Y. Maybe it's about me breaking the habit, and all I do is I do introverted activities and I stay inside and I don't travel far and I don't go here. Well, I can't go further. I don't have money. Well, I can't go visit other people. I don't know anyone. Well, I can't. And this whole cycle that brings you down this rabbit hole of what you can accomplish versus what you can. If you are one of those people that gets your hair done and your nails done, but yet you can't seem to afford anything else, well, then stop getting your hair done and your nails done and use that money to break out of that cycle of what it is you say you can't figure out how to do or afford to do. Sometimes the beginning is breaking the cycle of why you can't get something accomplished. The other part of this is finding the courage to break through the fear, because this is all fear-based. It's all fear-based. I'm afraid to do anything else because at least here I'm surviving. And if I do anything different, then maybe I won't even survive here. And I'm already in a place that's so low and so limiting that I can't imagine it getting smaller. But if I do anything different, it may get smaller. And you're afraid to take the risk. any risk. And you're afraid to break out of that box because the fear is overwhelming, and the fear says, well, at least I'm here. And at least, even though I'm stuck, my head is above water enough to breathe. But that's all it is I'm barely breathing, but I can breathe.
So we both know that we have been in this very space before, right?
Yes.
Which is why we
Yes.
can talk about it with
Yes.
ease. And we're obviously not alone. This is
No.
not isolated. So that's why I think it's so important that we address it. You know, when I was in that place, I felt so heavy physically. Now, years later, I am a little bit heavier, but I feel so much lighter. But I feel so much lighter because I don't have the mental weight. And the mental weight actually seems to compound how you feel physically. The whole aspect of not feeling like you can move from your physical, from a physical nature, is a sense of heaviness. It's a sense of not being mobile or having a sense of immobility. And that heaviness, you know, we have these blankets out now. I can't remember what they're called, but they're literally designed to weigh you down. And that's how we feel. When we feel that way, we feel weighed down. And it's so much better to feel lighter, because that sense of lightness is also a sense of freedom. We don't have the bogged down thoughts in our mind that keep us from doing the things that we maybe never imagined that we could do, but wanted to do. And the other thing that you said was that I thought was really important is that until we break the fear, that's how we're going to stay. As long as we stay in that sense of fear, we're going to feel heavy, weighed down, immobile, and unable to really thrive.
So let's start off with, what can we physically do to change our mindset, to get out of that depression? Because with fear comes depression. The average human being was not made to stay indoors. When we are depressed, when we have a limited mindset, when we are boxed in, we tend to stay indoors. We tend to draw the curtains. We tend not to engage or go with people or go anywhere. The first thing that physically breaks the depression is nature. Take a walk, lay on the beach, lay in a park, sit on some stones, go climbing, engage outdoors. Take the shoes off, put your feet in the grass, lay in the grass. The first thing that's missing is vitamin D. You need the sun. You need the sun. I don't care if you shade yourself, but you're outside. You need that vitamin D. You need the sun. You lay on Mother Earth. And those who engage in laying on Mother Earth, you cannot stay depressed. The fresh air, the vitamin D, and Mother Earth alone will move that and shift that thought. It's a natural fact. Water. Those of you who are water people, go to the beach. Take the long shower. Take the bath with the candles. If you can't get outdoors, but water shifts. Water shifts. Fire. Light the candles. Create that campfire. Light the fire outdoor and hang out on the patio deck in the evening of the night. All these different activities shift our being. There's an energy about them that shift the depression, that actually transmutes the energy of our depression. What do you think?
Absolutely. We've got really the elements, the water, we have the elements of fire, which is, the sun or the candle. And also the element of just breath, the air,
Yes.
taking in those very deep cleansing breaths can shift
Absolutely.
physically, mentally, all of that. And I think a lot of times when we're doing that, those deep breathing exercises, it absolutely shifts the endorphins, the chemical aspect of our body.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The other thing that I was thinking about too, Enolia, is that when we think about the human body, okay, and you were saying, go out for a walk, those types of things. If you think about it, our legs are meant to move. They are
Yes.
designed to walk. They have the ability to run. They're meant for movement. So are our arms. That's why I love stretching and yoga and those types of things, because it just it puts my body in that physical position of what it's designed to do, which is to move. And I know that we have people who are listening that might not have all of the members that we are talking about, the legs, the arms, the digits, but there is still that ability to move the core, to breathe in,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And, for those of those who are listening that do have some physical differences or challenges, just know that as long as you are able to see and breathe and taste and feel, there is the ability to have that physical awareness of breaking through the cycle of fear. There's still that physical ability to shift the mind when you might not have all of the members of our body to do so. That breath, ability to see the world in a beautiful way.
And then the next thing that we need to do once we've shifted our thought, just so that we can have clarity of thought, is don't be afraid to face your fears. Write them down, list them, look at them, face your fears. It doesn't mean that you have to share them. If you don't want to share them and you're not ready for that vulnerability yet, that's okay. But list and confront and look at your fears. And then once you have those fears listed, what is it that keeps you there in that space? Write this down. Have something that you can look tangibly back at. Because what this is akin to looking in the mirror. And in order to look in the mirror, as a result, you have to love all aspects of yourself. And that also means the aspects that you're fearful of. And embrace it and go, okay, now that I see that I'm afraid to travel long distances, I'm afraid to engage in new information and how that's handled, because it brings in new work or a new way of looking at things or a new order or a new framework. I'm afraid to take the leap of something new because I feel like I'm holding on with a thread where I am. And is it financial? Is it relationship? Is it the fact that it's unknown? Is it something new? Is it that I'm more comfortable where I am? But face the fear, understand what the fear is. Then understand where the fear comes from. What is the origin of the fear? What happened in your life where this fear originated? Pinpoint the fear. Was it when you were younger? Was it inner child? Was it when you were a child? Was it as an adult? What is it that puts you in this limited space of this is where I can operate because I'm afraid to go beyond it.
You know, when it comes to writing things down, did you know that some people are afraid of that? That some people are afraid to journal. I've had people come up to me and say, well, I don't really want to do that journaling exercise because if I write things down and I write down my innermost thoughts, I might lose it and somebody might find it and use it against me. So, I mean, people have really said that. Look at all of those fears cascading right then and there. And it's not the journaling exercise that really puts them in a place of fear. It is the fact that they're afraid to be vulnerable and exposed, right?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
you,
You say it. That's the next step. Because it is counterintuitive to be vulnerable. But so let's go there. Let's go with being vulnerable. Okay, Bukeka, you read my journal and you now know that the core of my anger stems from when my parents used to fight all the time and my father was always angry. And then he would be angry with me and he was only angry with me because he was drinking and that made me angry. And so I've been an angry person ever since. And I don't want anyone to know that my father was an alcoholic. And I don't want anyone to know at the core I'm angry because I just always saw anger expressed a certain way. And then that always pushed me to want to be angry. And maybe that's how I achieve things, is to go to rage or to go to anger. Well, guess what? If you read the fact that I'm an angry person and these are the reasons why I'm angry, and then you try to say something that made me feel small about it, I could choose to respond to you by saying, yeah, I'm an angry person. Okay, and your point is? In other words, embrace the pain and embrace what you could be called out on. It's a part of you. And then once you embrace it and you go, okay, so your point is? What's the point you're making? Well, you lie all the time. Yeah, I used to lie all the time. That was something I had to shift, and I have shifted that. So what's your point? Well, you're always broke. Yeah, I was broke all the time, but you know what? I shifted that mindset. I no longer have a lacking mindset, but yeah, I used to. Okay, and your point is? What is it within us that always wants to hide behind a facade? If we tear the facade down and somebody tries to call us on something that we're vulnerable about, and we have embraced it, what could anyone ever say to you to hurt your feelings? That you couldn't say, yeah, that's a part of me. And I've shifted that. And what's your point? In other words, you don't make their judgment your truth.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so if you can judge me left, right, up and down, okay, fine, judge all you want to, but I know my truth and it doesn't hurt me. And so I will not attach emotion to that judgment to feel small or belittled and everything. And by the way, what's your agenda for trying to judge me in the first place? What's your point of trying to make me feel small or belittled or demeaned by throwing something that you know I'm vulnerable about in my face in the first place? So I want you as the audience to really go through this cycle. First, physically, shift that attitude, get out, get nature, have clarity, understanding. Second, face your fears, face it, show it, write it down, understand it, and then realize where the growth needs to take place. And then third, don't be afraid to be vulnerable in understanding it. Because it's like exercising. When you first start it, it's painful. But then after a week, 2 weeks, and you're still in it, and you move through the pain, guess what? You exercise still, and it's no longer painful. You moved past the pain. You move through these stories of what you perceive is so vulnerable and hurtful that your fear doesn't have a place because you've exposed it all.
That ability to embrace your vulnerability is what leads you into power, is what leads you into knowing your worth. Because when you can embrace your fears, when you can embrace those things that don't look like the powerful person that you want everyone to see, it really puts you in a position to become more connected with not only yourself, but with other people. Because those other people, they didn't need to read your journal to know or to assume or to come to the conclusion that you're an angry person. Because if that's what your habit is, and that's where you're coming from, they can see it. So no need in feeling, worried about that other people are going to read your journal because you wrote about how angry you are. No, they didn't need that, right?
That's right. That's right. You wear it on your sleeve.
You wear it on your sleeve. You wear it on your sleeve. So anything that you feel a sense of vulnerability about, really take that as an exercise of self-love, of self-worth, allowing that to be like, you're right. I do have that. I did have that, or I can work on that. If you feel that that's something that you need to do, but it gives you a sense of owning taking ownership of yourself. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you move into a place of power. When you move into a place of power, you take ownership of what it is that you want to succeed or accomplish in, or whatever it is that is the next step for you.
You're exactly right. When you take ownership of it, no one can hurt you because you already know.
Right.
You already know. What can you say that hurts me? I already know that about myself. And once you do that, that is how you start reaching into the depth of your own empowerment, saying, okay, now that I know that this is the way that I am, how do I shift it? Now, a lot of us will go out, well, I'll just change. I'm just going to change, blah, 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 change. But really, what is life made up of but decisions? What makes us powerful is that we have free will and we make decisions. But the key is that if we find ourselves here diminishing, then our decisions have not been good.
Yeah.
And so, as simple as this, make a different decision, get a different outcome. Notice your patterns of decisions. Make a different decision, get a different outcome. Now, we wear our decisions like we wear a comfortable pair of shoes. We wear our decisions like we wear that comfortable coat that we love, that favorite t-shirt, that favorite hairdo. We wear our decisions just like that because we know where they go. And that's the problem. That's the problem. We want to be in our comfort zone. And if you define what fear is nothing but the boundaries we put around ourselves and where we operate so that we're comfortable. Because if we go beyond those limitations, those boundaries, we're in unknown territory, and therefore we're uncomfortable. And when we make a different decision, it might take us beyond that boundary. It takes us into unknown territory, and we're fearful of where that can lead. So we got to transmute that energy, get outside, take a chance, get some fresh air, find and dig in deep inside for your courage, and dare to make a different decision. And dare to challenge those limitations and dare to challenge those boundaries and that limited thinking by what? By noticing the patterns of thought, by noticing our habits and breaking them. Break the patterns, break the habits, make a different decision, look for the outcome. And if it yields a positive outcome, then you just started a new path. And you make different decisions until you find yourself in a new path in life with the intention of a vision that you hold of where you want to be.
The other thing that comes to mind, isn't it funny how we have those people in our lives that support us in our diminishment? Those people in our lives that say, "You're right, girl, you can't go do that. Girl, you've never
Oh,
done
girl,
that
say it.
before." Okay.
Please say it.
Right. And we, because we have diminished ourselves, we give the power to all of them that support us in our own self-diminishment, if that is a phrase, right? They
Yes.
support us, and you know, and then we even go a step further and say, "Thank you for reminding me. I didn't need to do that. Thank you for reminding me. I didn't need to spend that money on that thing. Thank you for keeping me small," because that's where we're living. So we support all the people that help us do that. But guess what? When you get out of your fear and you get out of that comfort zone and you get into your flow, your beauty, your worthiness, you are going to have that same thing happen on the opposite end, where you're going to have those people that say, "You go for it. If you want to make
Yes.
that investment, if you believe in it, go for it. I'll support you in that. I will connect you with other people." Or
Yes.
you know, you're going to find the same people that love and support you and appreciate you to help you move forward when you moved into that certain place. And you don't need those people anymore that you thought you had to have that were helping you to stay small.
Exactly. Because you really need to make a choice. Did you come into this world to play small? Were you brought to this world to stay small and stuck and imprisoned in your own mindset? And if you did, you know, God bless you. You know, who am I to judge?
True.
But if you didn't, and you don't want to feel diminished, it starts here. It starts here. You look in that mirror, you learn to love who you are, the value you bring to the table. You dare to trust yourself. You dig deep for that courage and you make a different decision. And you break those habits. And if it's a matter of whether you spend money on what you're used to always spending money on, because that's part of your habitual pattern, and breaking that pattern and saying, well, I may not be done to the nines, but I can get some fresh air and I can engage in going out and meeting new people and surrounding myself with like-minded people and daring to have the courage to say, okay, I'm going out. I'm going to ask the universe to divinely align me meeting the right people while I'm gone. It starts with you. It starts with you. I will not live a diminished life.
Folks, you might be seeing both of us posting that on Facebook.
I will not lead a diminished life. Yeah. I will define my success and I will step up to it in my fullest and most present being that I am. It's a choice, just like everything else.
Just like everything else.
So this story, I hope, has been powerful for our audience in sharing. And I hope you take away a lot of great knowledge. And I hope that something helps you, or if you share it with someone else, I hope it helps them. We share from our hearts because we know we are not the only ones who are trying to transcend and keep constant the sustainability of living an aligned life in flow and in vision of what we want and who we are. And we send these blessings out to you and these tidbits and these tools because you deserve it too.
Well, folks, Enolia said it perfectly. We want to thank you so much for listening. And follow us on our social media. There's a lot more to Enolia and Bukeka. We want to share our lives with you, and we are empowered by you as well for listening in. So thank you so much, listeners, for being a part of the BE Empowered podcast. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you, Enolia.
Thank you, Bukeka. Have a beautiful rest of day. Bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed the show. We look forward to bringing you more shows in the future. To learn more about our co-hosts, check out their websites, www.bukekastyle.com and www.enolia.live. Learn about their masterclasses for conscious transformation, their personal coaching, along with their international retreats and expeditions. Are you an entrepreneur looking for another line of income? Check out www.planetmarketing.com/Enolia and www.planetmarketing.com/bblakemore. We are here to transform your life. Thank you for listening.